Todd, you gonna do the intro? Today was your day to do the intro.
No, it wasn't.
Good morning, everyone. Today is March 29th. This is StockCast, your pre-market show. My name is James Mason, and with me is Todd Derby.
So let's be clear. Good morning, James. Let's be really clear. James not only can pick good stocks, but he likes to try to F with me as much as he can, and I'm okay with it. I understand my role here.
You see, guys? You see? When Todd went right on the spot, like he choked down. The intro was all him this morning, and he dropped the ball.
Just like I was on the toilet last Friday.
Oh, man. All right, guys. So really quick, pre-market here. Dow futures are currently down 124 points. S&P 500 down 12.5 points. And it is looking like a crappy day. But guess what? If y'all held on to BNKD, look what you're up. 908%. Went from $2 to $18.55. Congratulations. No, that's actually a reverse split. Yeah. If y'all didn't know. But yeah, it has my account looking crazy in a positive way, but too bad it is not true. So
zero volume.
Yeah, zero. So this thing is gonna have to finish its little process out. Again, this is an ETN. I'm not worried about it. If this was like a normal stock, I'd have been out of this as soon as they announced that news. But other than that, man, what do we have going on in the world today? Let's see.
Obviously, the big news is the Suez Canal.
Yes.
There was news this morning that so I saw two reports. One said it was partially moved. The other one said that it's moved enough to get ships through next to it. So it looks like it's going to open up.
I don't know, but if I was everybody else just trying to do my job, I'd be like, man, this is a bunch of bullshit. Get it, bullshit? Anyways. But so I actually done some research on this. I was looking up Google images and everything. And man, this Suez Canal, if y'all don't know, it obviously is a canal that splits right through Egypt. And it controls 12% of global trade, but it's really not that big. I mean, it's a canal. But good Lord, like that ship that was stuck in there, man, that thing was freaking massive. And like, could you imagine being the person responsible for holding up 12% of global trade? Like, that person's probably fired. that frill, that sucks.
Well, he definitely didn't get a good review. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So that person, well, not that person, that company, I'm sure they'll probably face hefty fines, legalities and whatnot. But other than that, hey, at least they got it back open, and that will probably cause a certain bump in different commodities as well. So just keep that in mind. That's something that we'll have to really try to catch here before anything takes a run. It's going to be hard with the market being this red already today to kind of jump on something, but just like with anything else, get in with that small position size, nail it, and then get out as soon as possible. So let's see what we got going on in the comments today. Good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing? Let's see.
You want to get into review some tickers early then?
Yeah.
All right.
The pre-market is pretty dry today. A lot of the news that has already like kind of pumped up in some of these bios is really just petty fluff news. We do have a Chinese pharmaceutical company who took a spike, but again, nothing too significant. So today is kind of Kind of looking slow on the long side for small caps at least. And then obviously for the bear side, large caps, we'll have to see what the open market brings. So let's take a look at DPW. DPW is notorious for being a pump and dump, but it has been on a pretty significant run lately. So let's take a look at it. Let me pull up some information on it. All right. For the last update for short interest, shares short 4 million, percent on the float short 8.5%. Outstanding shares 49.3, the float 47.9. So the float size is okay. Let's see, news. We have some filings on the 26th. Looks like they received a $10.5 million order just from skimming headlines. I could be wrong on that. So just digging deeper to that. But other than that, DPW has a few things going on, but nonetheless, this thing is just notorious for its pumps. I mean, that's all there's to it. And we can see here, looking at it on the chart, and we're just currently down 3 cents pre-market. No big deal at the point. Now, if I was looking to trade this, I would have to wait and see. In the context of not being in this yet, I'd have to wait and see this thing actually break back above this high right here of this arch. So we can see that right there in that daily candle. So I'd make an entry around 415, and let's see. I'd probably just try to keep this one pretty short in terms of like really trying to like go for a solid trade here, just since I really know the history on it.
Yeah, you would not. I'll speak for myself. I would not trade this without a new stimulus or catalyst because of their history of dumping it, and I would be looking to play the short side of it or the back side of the news and try to short it down because that's a more predictable and less risky play, I think.
Yeah. So I do have to side with Todd on this. This wouldn't be something that I'd be looking to jump into, but if I was just like adamant about it, my entry would be 415. And again, just like knowing how this thing really works, I try to get out of it as soon as possible. So like $5 would really be my overall target price, unless if they had some kind of catalyst that I don't know about. And DPW is not something that I really keep up with a lot, except on the short side, because again, it's almost guaranteed to make money if you short it like this. So overall target price for me be about $5, entry about 415. And to be honest, there's not really a good place to stop out at. So I'd probably just keep it super tight. And put a stop in about 395. And that is if I was just like adamant about the sticker, and I'm not.
Right.
Let's see.
Take a look at next one. NAC, N-A-K, Nancy Apple Kangaroo.
All right. Last update, short interest. Share short, 29.4 million. Percent on float, 6.6%. Outstanding shares, $512.6 million. Float, $442.6 million. So this thing is bloated. As you can see, it's struggling overall, and this is not something that I'd really want to try to jump in here and have a part of. There's really just too many shares on the market, but if we're going to look at it from just like a technical aspect, honestly, the only thing I'd wait for is that non-EMA line, the actual line, to cross back above that 200 EMA line. I'd make my entry, and I'd literally keep my stop loss super tight, pretty much right under that 200 EMA line, and honestly look for my exit. I don't think you're going to pull off much here, but hey, every dog has its day.
Looking at the back news on it, they need approval from the federal government to get into a mining project in Alaska, and if they don't get approved for that, they're not going to go anywhere.
Well, they need to mine down that share structure of theirs. Too many shares on the market.
No kidding.
Way too many.
All right, let's take a look at. There's one that we've traded in the past. NBEV. Nancy Bravo Echo Victor.
All right. Short interest. Last update, 9.9 million shares, 7.5% of the float being shorted. Days to cover, 3.7. Shares outstanding, 135.3 million. Float, 131.7 million. So float here, or share structure overall, is not too bad. I do like that days to cover of 3.7 days with 7.5% of the float being shorted. So whenever they start covering on this, it should start pushing this up a little bit. Looking at the news, have a couple filings between the 26th and 25th of March. And then kind of going back. Let me just skim for some other news. Okay, just doing like a 2-second skim of the news. I don't see a catalyst sitting on top of anything. Again, I just briefly looked at it. So let's look at this from a technical aspect. Let's see. Honestly, unless if they have like a catalyst coming up, this is looking weak. What I kind of expect to happen is this to break down, that non-EMA, cross over that 200 EMA, and then sell off more. You can see it, it attempted to make this run, pull back to the 200, and then, it made its little run up, and then now it's selling off pretty quickly. What tends to happen here is this is just a little bounce play, and then it kind of dies off after that. So this is kind of looking like it might be a dead cat bounce, and we'll just have to see in the future. This setup, I personally do not like this setup because of that. Now, had it been back here, even after it made its first run, I'd be okay with that, because it just popped up one time already. But now that we're already in the second phase and it's struggling, and then, made a spike here and then pull back, for me, that's just a no-go. So if I was trying to look to get into this, I would avoid it unless there's like a significant catalyst that you know about. And if I was in this thing, I'd probably look to either cut losses or take whatever profit I do have and just walk away. So that is what I see for ticker NBEV.
Right. Next ticker is LTNC. Larry, Thomas, Nancy, Charlie. And the question is, do you think this ticker is going over $1?
Okay, so let's see. A guy, hold on, comments are moving it up. A guy on Twitter saying LTNC. Well, if a guy on Twitter is saying LTNC, actually, I would say I would like to short this thing without even looking at it. Just going to be honest. Never mind. I would not be shorting it.
It's an OTC.
Yep, it's OTC. Well, first off, these companies are OTC for a reason. When they start having significant moves like this is what you call pump and dump. If you're already in this and have significant profit, look to cash out. Because what's going to happen here, this thing is going to tank. And we're at a point right now where it will probably go up a little bit more. I don't know. This thing ain't going up to $1. Just not happening. But it won't be long before this thing tanks, and it's going to be around that 2 cent or lower range, I'd say within the next few weeks. So if someone was thinking about jumping in this right now, may God have mercy on your portfolio, because you're going to need it. That is a classic pump and dump setup right here. So the guy on Twitter, he's a pumper.
Yeah, he's getting paid to say those things.
Mm-hmm. And we're not making that up, guys. Before I started Transparent Traders with Johnny, man, we used to be in deep into all those little Twitter groups, just kind of really just screwing their stuff up. That's all we wanted to do, was just screw their world up. We'd make fake accounts, get in, infiltrate their little secret groups. And there are secret groups. It's like an onion. There are layers of these groups in the OTC world. And these scummy CEOs, they just have a ton of shares. And what they'll do is these promoters, they pay them in shares. And so these promoters get a crap ton of shares, and they'll divvy them out to, we'll just call them like team leaders. And it's like this hierarchy, honestly. So as the hierarchy, gets closer to the bottom, which is you're the bottom because you're on the outside of their circle, you're the one who gets dumped on in the end. Like these guys, they were in it down here. Guarantee it, 100%. And that's how they make their money. The OTC world, man, you might as well put that into the same realm of drug dealers, traffickers, and terrorists. They're that scummy. They are that scummy. So just keep that in mind.
All right, let's take a look at a real ticker then. Arcadia Biosciences, RKDA. This is, I know, one we've traded in the past.
RKVA.
Roger, Kangaroo, Delta, Apple.
Let's see.
Question is it going to $3 based off a double bottom?
All right, last update for short interest. 1 million shares being shorted, 5%, 5.25% of the float. Shares outstanding, 21.3 million. Float, 20.1 million. So I like that share structure. March 23rd. Let's see. Looks like they... Hold on 1 second. Okay, it's just that news piece on March 23rd was just them talking about their full year of 2020 in a conference call. So that's fluff news. Not really sure the catalyst here. Just skimming off the top, I don't see anything, at least yet. But I might look into this later because I do like the share structure. I do like how it is kind of beat down and, kind of in this range overall with these lows. So if I can find the catalyst, that will help me out a lot here. Let's see. What I would look for then is hypothetically, let's say there is a catalyst here on the horizon, like a legitimate catalyst, not some BS you made up in your head. What I would look for here is to just take a smaller position, just accumulate some shares kind of in these lows overall in the daily chart, just in case if this thing spiked, if they release news. But for an actual like entry, I'd wait for it to break this high right here, right above this arch. So about 325, that's where I'd really look for my entry. Let's see. Target price, overall target price, about 1025. And that is what I would look for. I just keep a smaller position in general. But again, if there was a legitimate catalyst on the horizon here, guys, and I don't know because I haven't really dug into this one. This has been a while since I even looked at this ticker. But if there was a legitimate catalyst, I'd probably take a couple shares down here just in case, because you never know. These things, they tend to release news pre-market, sometimes after hours, but once in a blue moon, they'll release a catalyst in the middle of the market, and these things will do just crazy stuff.
I think it's important to make sure that our audience understands that when we're reviewing these tickers and discussing what we see at them, we're thinking through the mind of a day trader's mind, not an investor's mind. We're not looking to get into a ticker and hold on to it for 6 months, a year, and make it a long-term play. We're looking to make a day trade or a swing trade and to increase our portfolio. And so there's two different mindsets the way we look at these tickers.
Yeah. At the end of the day, guys, it's all about making money. And APOP is a great example. For some reason, there are still a lot of people who are holding on to APOP to chase that 1005 price target that I had. Again, these are overall target prices for me. It went up, APOP went up to, I can't remember, God, it was 8 something.
880, I think.
Yeah, 880. Or I think 881 maybe. So a lot of these members, they're trying to hold out for they're trying to hold out for 1005 when they had a chance to get out in the 8s, and then it dropped significantly. Risk reward, guys, like there's nothing wrong with taking profits. You don't have to ride something all the way up to the target price because nothing is ever guaranteed. Like an overall target price is if everything lines up perfectly. Like it's going to depend on the actual news. It depends on a lot on when they release that news. There's a better chance pre-market. The closer it gets to the bell, it's not so good. Now, if it happens too early in the pre-market, not so good. There's just this weird, fine little area in the middle of the pre-market that it has to happen, and everything it has to just hit just right. It can't be the first ticker making the big run of the day because it's going to get shorted for sure. Every morning, the bears are waking up and they're looking for the largest percentage gainer to short. So it can't be the first. So again, guys, just keep this in mind. you have to decide, are you an investor or a trader? And if you're a trader, A, taking profits in the $8 range, there's nothing wrong with that.
And don't confuse being a bag holder as being an investor. There's a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Investors go into the mindset, I'm going to buy and I can walk away from this. Bag holders are, oh, shoot, I'm trapped here. I guess I'm going to hang on to it because the risk reward is better to try to hope that I get a bounce or a longer term play versus selling out. So
Yeah.
You have to understand your role.
Yeah, also too, guys, I might get ridiculed saying this, but whatever. You can't really be an investor of a small cap pharmaceutical company. Their research and development will always eat up their finances. Always. Like these small guys, you make your money by their low floats and them having a catalyst and being in that thing before it pops. That's where you make your money here. That's how you trade them. Now, if we're talking about something like, Pfizer, Merck, whatever. Now, Pfizer really doesn't move overall, but you can make some money trading it, but it's pretty much about dividends there. But yeah, these small cap bio companies, they're not investments. Not in my opinion, at least.
Okay, one last question here, and then I think we'll call it a day. Jonathan, real quick, thanks for the tip this morning. Appreciate you popping in here. Jake asked the question, what would be the longest time you would short a stock? And Jake, the answer is my broker charges a short locate fee. They also charge another fee if I hold the ticker overnight, and every night I hold it. So the longest I ever held a short was I didn't hold it 3 or 4 days. It was shorted on Monday or Tuesday. The trade did not go as planned, and I held it overnight hoping to get a bounce, and ended up working itself out where I minimized my loss. But every time you hold it overnight, they charge you another fee. So holding a short position overnight doesn't usually make sense unless you really believe that it's going to drop hard. But most people aren't holding shorts long term.
Yeah, it's also very, very dangerous. Todd, do you remember? Man, I'm trying to think when it was. It was in October. Excuse me. But there was a week that my fees for shorting were over 12 grand in 1 week. Remember that?
Yes.
And that's what Todd is talking about. I mean, it's expensive. And I mean, if you step back and look at, the trades that I were in, shorting it, and how I was doing it, and I was swinging these. It was risky. And I did get, the reason why I was doing this because I got caught upside down, and I was actually live streaming it on the Tuesday, Thursday morning thing. And so I got upside down on it, but I was swinging it, and I ended up making, I think 20 grand, maybe 21,000 in the end. But I had over $12,000 pulled out of my profit just in fees. So keep that in mind. And we ain't even talking about the stress that they put on me. That's stressful. I had a huge position, and it's stressful.
Yeah. So you talk about the stress, which is people go, oh, it means stress, but it means you have to be up at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because if the ticker gaps up on you, at some point you have to cut it to save your account. So you're literally setting an alarm for 3:45 to roll out so you can turn your computer on and make sure you're not getting gapped up on with some additional news that's going to hurt you. So it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah. So that trade for me, it wasn't even worth it. Honestly, it wasn't even profitable with the amount of stress I had, the amount of fees I had being, taken out of my profits. It really wasn't worth it. It was a bad trade. I mean, the number I pulled out of it in the end of like 7,000, it doesn't even matter. it honestly has to be chalked up as just a bad trade because of all the fees and just doing wild stuff. So just keep that in mind if you do short. Really, the best way to short without talking strategy is just keep it to day trades. I mean, if you're having losses, just eat them. Because you don't know what's going to happen after that bell. But really quick, I want to answer one. Shannon Young, is XBio still a go? Could we average down now? Let's take a quick look. I have a small position in XBio. So for me, it is still a go. I love this setup overall. This is the setup I'm talking about. Love it overall. Love it overall, excuse me. I love the share structure on it. And it is looking kind of a little rough right here on the daily chart, but again, I have a small position here. I wouldn't average down yet. And the reason why that I personally won't average down yet is just in case if this thing does dip below that 200 EMA line, and then I'll probably be able to get more shares between 180. We'll probably start seeing a support around 180, to be honest. But between 180 and 125. If this does get down to 180, I'll average in. So that is where I will be looking to average in at 180. Maybe a few cents, around 180. But that's my plan for XBio. So other than that, guys, man, no juicy news in the market, pre-market still.
No, just the big one is BNKD. My portfolio is up huge, so I'm going to watch that and see if I can cash out that ticker today.
Honestly, it has my entire P&L screwed up for today because it looks like a massive profit, and it's
mine too.
Yeah, it'll make for good screenshots. You know there are going to be gurus on YouTube later. Like, oh, look at this runner I caught.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, all right, guys. Hey, appreciate it. Oh, keep in mind, Friday the market's closed.
Good Friday.
Yep, Good Friday. So this
guys, great and safe day trading.
Yeah, definitely. So trade safe, keep that position size under control, and let's make some money, guys. So we will see y'all later.